2 blocks, a wall. Morning, Jake. Morning, Larry. Let's get started. Here's my right hand on the wall. Now the main way we do this is the arm is perpendicular to the wall. Morning, everybody. This is my right hand flat on the wall. If you look at your right hand, your fingers will point to the right, and the wrist is 90 degrees because the arm is perpendicular to the wall. It's the standard way. Let's turn our feet, arch the chest. We'll turn the nose away from the wall, even if we can't quite get our feet to point away from the wall. And we always turn enough. We always invite a deep enough stretch that it feels like you're surfing the edge of that intensity. Not so much you start to wince. It's not overwhelming. It's not overly intense. You just feel what you feel. Take some nice deep breaths. Rizzy! With that right hand flat on the wall, see if you can now grip your fingertips into the wall. If your hand ever starts to go tingly / numb, you got to come out, shake your hand out, and then come back into the pose. It's only blood flow, and it's, not so good for your hand. And then last one, so I'm gripping my fingertips. When we are on hands and knees, we do these things called knuckle push-ups. And so if you sort of imagine, right, you can sort of picture what's happening with your right hand. The heel of your palm is on the wall, the knuckles are on the wall, and then the fingers are on the wall. And I want you to turn your nose, look at the hand, and now I want you to pivot on the knuckles and pick up the heel of the palm. Seems subtle, seems impossible. I don't have a lot of weight on the hand, but there's enough that this movement gets pretty interesting pretty quickly. So the fingers stay down, but the heel of the palm lifts up. And then we swing the arms. You should have 2 different arms in terms of length and interesting level. Interesting. Frame rate looks funny on camera too. Here we go. Left hand. So left hand's flat on the wall. Feet turned to the right, away from that hand. Both shoulder blades down, but particularly this left. Down away from the ears, we arch the chest up. White-throated sparrow. Andrea heard this morning, and then it's just been chirping away. Andrea identified this morning. It's been chirping away in our front yard. And then we saw what looked like a blue Easter egg in our front yard in the grass. And it was a little absurdly velvet blue. Little bird looked like a finch. And then we do our little knuckle push-ups as you grip your fingertips. There's faces can be involved, but the sensation should not be so intense that you can't not make a face. We want your faces to be voluntary. That's 2 or 3. You can always make these a little bit harder, or a lot bit harder. Come out, swing the arms, feel the difference. Let's turn the feet in. Now, if you look down at your feet, the pigeon toe, the point in, if you were a ski person, that'd be pizza pie. Straighten the legs, or set chest up, and with legs straight, feet turned in, shift your hips left and right. Interesting. As my hips go to one side, I let my upper body fall in opposition. And then we do our rotation. Nothing fancy. My feet are still pigeon-toed, but I am going to shift all of my body weight onto the left foot. I do that by picking the right heel up and obviously moving the whole big old body. I take hands on the waist, turn the pelvis to the left, turn your upper body to the left, pull that shoulder back, and then look at the wall behind you. Come out to tippy toes on that right foot. So the left foot's pigeon-toed. My pelvis and upper body are turning to the left. And now how do you keep this rotation? How do you keep your body from rotating back to center as you pick this right foot up? Yeah. Check it out. Hard to breathe. Now, before you do second side, you got to look down at your feet and make sure that they're pigeon-toed again. Otherwise, you start like this and you're like, whoa, I'm so much better on this side. I turn so much more. My apologies to those of you that were insulted by the voice I just gave you. Shift your weight over to the right. Your right, which means if you're looking at me, you'll go that way. Pelvis turns to the right. Shoulder pulls back. Try to look over your right shoulder at the wall behind you. Holy moly, weight's on the right foot. And come into tippy toes on that left foot. How do you, without touching your hands to anything, without using that left foot, get the chest up, keep the rotation, which means something's going to have to work around that standing hip. This is not the normal position for your standing hip. As you pick this left foot up, try not to untwist. Try to untwist. Try not to untwist. There you go. Too many negatives in there. Let me shake it out. Nice. And then finally, of course, feet wider than the mat. Last little check-in. If my feet are wider than the mat, my abductors are a little shorter, the stuff on the outside of the hip. The stuff on the inner thigh is a little longer. This is baby side splits, right? This is, for many of you, this is a deeper side splits than we can do when we're on the floor, because I'm actually using some body weight. And we just shift the hips. Hips go left and right. You see what's true. Okay. Interesting, interesting. What is the limit to your range of motion? I keep my legs straight, and so as my hip shifting is coming entirely from the tilt of the pelvis. So as I shift my hips to the left, the right side of the hip goes higher, the left side of the hip goes lower, and I'm getting stuff on the inside of this left inner thigh, which is my side splits on this left inner thigh. And so you can feel the stuff that's stopping the movement. What's the limit to the range of motion? And when I go to the other side, is there a difference? Can I tell if this is more or less flexible, opener or stucker? Let's bring the feet in just to mat width. So now my feet are on the mat, perfectly parallel, and we'll get to work on our legs. You bend the knees, elbows on the femurs. A standard little forward bendy, nothing fancy thingy-bobber. If my elbows are on my femurs, that means I have a couple options. Let's try the first option. Lift your hips up a little bit and let your head hang. Your head's heavy. So if you actually relax the weight of your skull, and lift the hips up a little bit higher, it's like I'm hanging a chain, hanging a bowling ball from the end of a chain. It's going to pull the links into a tension system. And that's one way we work. The second way we work, of course, is much worse, and it's the one that we have a reputation for, that we care about specifically so that we can be one of the few people we know in our age group that doesn't have issues getting on and off the floor, that doesn't grunt getting out of a chair. There we go. I bend the knees a little bit more so that as my hips come down, my head will naturally come up a little bit higher, and now I'm going to exaggerate that movement, arch up. I'm not worrying about looking forward. I'm trying to point my sternum, my chest bone forward. And we begin. I lower and I lift her. Lifting and lowering. Now, you can have your weight on your toes, or you can have your weight on your heels. If you have your weight on your heels, it's going to be worse. So that's the one we want. You keep the weight slightly back. The chest stays up, up, up. So I'm not headbanging with the hips. I'm fighting to keep my chest in the same position, which means as my legs straighten a little bit, my back is working harder. And it should feel like your hips and back are fighting each other. And that means you're doing what I'm doing. And you're just going to keep going. You can bend just a little bit more with every rep. Maybe like a millimeter. So every 10 reps you go a centimeter lower. And there we go. We'll call that 40. Hands walk forward. Feet step back. Instead of coming all the way flat, we'll come into down dog. And in down dog, aka down dog, we get to stretch our calves a little bit, alternate bending and straightening the knees. Yes. Lizzie, I thought you were talking about the revealed something amazing. Andrea hears the little as a very sort of sorrowful, mournful, and it's not a loud call. It sounds like you're listening to it on like an old wax cylinder rather than, or like a crackly record in mono. But you know when some twist gets revealed, dun dun dun. To me that's what we're talking about. But yeah, no, this is not like Watergate. Yeah, it's good you didn't remember it correctly. Knees touch. Drape the spine. You should be feeling the wrists a little bit. As we shift, arch the chest out. Oh, see if we can get a contraction in the back. If you had some, 18 to 36-month-old human beings running around your house, and you wanted to play horsey, I want you to now create the best horsey shape ever. Super good saddle shape. Check out the neck. Greco crunch. Good. Let's point the toes. Sit back on the heel. So you walk your hands back and see if we can sit back all the way. Maybe. You get your chest up. Tick-tock the head. The upper body. Rotate the head. As always, if you, for whatever reason, can't get your hips back on your heels, there's nothing wrong with you other than that your knees are messed up. And so you take a couple blocks and you just slide them in between your feet. You elevate your hips. Make that a habit. Always have that available, accessible. And you don't wait. You don't put it off. You just do it. It's just part of your protocol. It's how you take care of yourself, right? It's annoying to do all the stuff that we have to do to not get arrested. You just got to do a bunch of stuff. You got to get your car inspected, then you got to get the tags, and then you got to take the old tag off and put the new tag on. And then when there's a light bulb out, you got to turn your hand one way to take that out, and then you got to turn your hand the other way to put the light bulb in, and then you got to walk all the way over to the trash can or some weird recycling bin for your weird energy-saving light bulb, and then you got to take the trash out eventually. It's like, it's just, you're always doing stuff. And so in a yoga class, you got your blocks, you sit on the blocks. That's what you do. And so what that you're in a yoga class with 30 other people and you're the only one that has to do that. They're not you. So that's the game. You find our own sort of edges, our own sort of language. You find how we interface with this practice. Let's go ahead and come into elbows and knees, my favorite relaxation position. So if my hips are over the knees, elbows under shoulders, stack your hands, set the head down. Oh, so good. The game here is to relax. Relax. You can shift your hips here too, as well. Yay. Smooth, expansive breaths. And I love draping the spine in this position. Trying to relax the hips, trying to relax the spine. Here we go. Forearms parallel, hands flat. We begin. Straighten. And we bend. Straighten and we bend. Bending your elbows and then straightening them again. Going with the flow, we will cook our triceps good. Then in the summer your triceps will look good. Andrew, that's not a rhyme because you just used the same word. Andrew, you're not good at rhyming. You're as good as a turd. Every once in a while, Andrew has music in his classes. It's very John Philip Sousa-y. We did 40 little high squat quad burnery guys. We're going to do 40 little arm cookie knees down push-ups. Last 5. Put those elbows down. And you guessed it. Show me that natural curve in lower back. Curl your toes under, please. We pick the knees up for elbows down dog. That's my favorite part. Feet walk back. Knees touch. Thighs, hips, belly. Slide your elbows out, set the head down. Oh. That's good. Yay. Yay. Slide elbows under shoulders. Shoulders down away from the ears. Pull the head up, chest up. Lift your eyebrows. Got normal schedule this week. There will be a bit of a schedule change for next week, and we're going to, just for the week, a few classes will have to be a little different because there'll be some birthday celebration-y kind of a thing going on next week. Let's see if we can get the shoulder blades down and away from the ears. Pull that head up, chest up. We'll let you know. We'll put it on this page, on the live stream page, and links to makeup videos and all that stuff. Tick tuck the head. Crackle crunch. Nothing fancy. We want these positions to be absolutely ingrained into your body. There's no doubt that you know them. They're a part of you. Palms face up. Pivot on the elbows. See if you can get with the knuckles on the floor, see if you can get your wrists wider than the mat. Can scapulae pull away from the ears as the top of the head pulls up. Turning the head. Smooth inhales. Bring the hands back in, hands flat. Straighten the arms. All right, one at a time. We do our knuckle push-ups just like on the wall. A few of you can do them at the same time. Are you breathing? Is your tummy rumbling? There we go. World's laziest push-up. Slide the hands flat. We peel ourselves up and off the floor. Back onto hands and knees. Super drapey spine. Don't stretch your back out. Don't tuck your tailbone. And we are anti-slouching as a style. Or pro feeling better. There we go. Let's have a seat. We'll scooch our tailbone back to the wall. Scoochy, scoochy, scooch, scooch. Yeah. With the hips back on the wall, I put my head back on the wall. Looking for sensation. Blue jays and mockingbirds sure are graceful flyers. I'm seeing the flash of the white mockingbirds as they sort of maneuver like crazy people. Take the soles of the feet together. My tush is against the wall. Soles of the feet are together. The knees are off to their respective sides. My head is back. My legs are just hanging. I'm not pushing. I'm not pulling. The weight of the legs are doing the work. I'm seeing if I can figure out a way to just let the hips let go. Takes a little bit of time. It's okay. There it is. It's an unusually long, whistly sound. Now, we go from passive to active. Now let's pull our knees to the floor. And again, this is not a triceps exercise. This is a buttceps exercise. How do I contract something around the hips to pull the knees down? Now, it's gluteals. And the other thing gluteals do is it extends your hips. And this sounds a little technical because we are nerdy like this. We love diving in a little bit more every year, learning a little bit more every year. We're not trying to learn everything. I learn, my brain's pretty dumb. And it grabs on what it grabs onto very hard, but it doesn't have a lot of breadth. It's hard to learn a lot in terms of width, and it's hard to learn deeply. And so all that I do is a little bit every year. I just add another layer as often as I can. And if you are willing to just keep at it, allow yourself to continue to be curious and interested, you'll get a very deep and broad body of knowledge. And so we dive deep, but I didn't know this stuff 20 years ago when I was teaching. I could not tell you how the knees work. I couldn't tell you the different functions of gluteals. I could have told you where gluteals were, and I would have sounded smart doing it, but I didn't know anything. So, as you pull your knees to the floor, it's also wanting to tuck your tailbone. Ah, that's hip extension when the femurs are fixed. So let's make this interesting. So relax your legs again. I'm going to pull the knees down in a moment, but first arch up. And see if you can create space behind your lower back. As a matter of fact, can you take one arm or hand behind you? Don't slide your tailbone away from the wall. I got my butt touching the wall. I got a hand or forearm back behind me. Head and shoulders are on the wall. Now, if I can't quite get the hand, that's okay. You just arch and you fight to create space. And the harder thing is it's hard for you to know if that space is changing or if the distance is changing, the angles. But with the arm back there, it's much easier to measure because now I want everyone to try to arch up off of the arm and now pull your knees to the floor. And what we've changed is if I can keep those two things, if I can have those two things happening at the same time, I've changed what part of gluteals I'm using to pull the knees to the floor. So instead of just globally turning on the entire muscle with two separate nerves, I'm only turning on the fibers, which are the upper fibers, that pull the knees away from the midline. These are the ones that insert. And the IT band, the upper or superior fibers of gluteus maximus. Now, when you go to a Michelin star restaurant, let's get rid of the hand, let's get rid of the legs. Ugh, shake those legs out. It's okay if they feel a little paralyzed. Chances are you do not know how they're making that food taste like that. All right, it's not just better. It's next level. It's totally separate skills to make food do what Michelin star restaurants do. It's not just like the right temperature with the right butter. They're doing crazy stuff in that kitchen. With that said, that doesn't mean you have to understand it to appreciate it. And so now as we sort of check in with our legs, take a couple deep breaths and see if you can feel the difference in your hips. I like to roll the thighs in and out. My toes will point towards one another, away from one another. And this is the thing. If you're going to be a practitioner your whole life and you just love being a consumer, that's it. Your job is to become better at tasting stuff and to allow it to wash over you. How profoundly can you feel the sensations that are still emanating from the hips, from the legs? I want all of you to do that. But a few of you, if you're teaching, there's this secondary skill of actually understanding what it is you're doing, and then the skill of enunciating that stuff. This stuff is understandable. It's not that mysterious. There's some things that we do not know, but a lot we do. And so if you're going to teach, knowing and being able to describe it is important. We have courses for that. We got a course in June. We'll have the online course sometime this summer. And super helpful stuff. Let's scooch forward. But don't be hard on yourself if you don't understand it, but you're not going to teach. That's okay. Either learn it for fun, which is what I did, and then people pay me money to teach them, or to just my hands are back, my feet are flat, and as wide as the mat. We'll tick-tock the knees. Or just enjoy tasting, experiencing. Now, my knees are moving because my pelvis is rolling. I'm not keeping my pelvis stuck to the floor, although that's nice. You can get some crazy sensations out of the hip joints. I'm letting the pelvis roll. And because my butt's rolling on the floor, my legs can go. I'm not sliding the feet. I'm rolling on the feet, pivoting. And for the twist, we just continue with one of these movements. So I drop the knees all the way over to one side, and then I just keep turning the pelvis. I let my upper body turn. Keep turning the hips, and then I turn away from the computer. Walk, 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 walk. Don't let your feet slide. Feet stay where they first started. And we work on hands for favorite twist. Shoulder blade down away from the ear. Head pushes up. What can you hear? What can you hear? Arch that chest up, see if we can get the left side of the lower back contracted a little bit more. 3, 2, numero 2. Second side. So you come back to center. Take a moment. Remember, this interstitial moment is like super important. Feet as wide as the mat. Drop the knees to the left. Turn the hips, turn, 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 turn. Turn your upper body away from the computer screen and get some spinal rotation. Are you breathing? Alright, so just to get a contraction on the right side of lower back. One more breath. Right back to center. We get a block. It's time. So, you got your block. You put your block behind the back. If you know what to do, lie back. You're good. For those of you new to this, you've been doing it less than a year, you've done this less than 100 times, I find it helpful to have these little rules. And as with all rules, the rules for a level 1 practitioner are going to be different than the rules for a level 3 practitioner. Rules develop, right? You must hold mommy's hand when you walk in the parking lot when you're 2 years old. You don't hold mommy's hand when you walk in the parking lot now. Rules change as things change. So, here's a block. It's in its widest and flattest dimension. If you know what to do, just lie back, take some deep breaths, you get an extra breath or two. 2 thumbs up, I put my thumbs on the bones of the tailbone, and then I slide the block back with fingies. So a hang tens distance is a good first distance. And we lie back. Ah, yay. Now the game is to have your butt on the floor and the head on something. And so if your head does not come down on the floor, which may be the case today for whatever reason, is we're having a towel, which you can fold in many different ply to elevate the head, or you just take the second block. If your head can come down, the head on the floor is the best position, as long as there's no discomfort in your neck. You're not feeling like the back of your neck is crunching and you're talking like this. So you may need to elevate the head a little bit, that's okay. but we're not elevating the head independent of the shoulders. Eventually, head and shoulders will be down. And the whole game here is that the whole time you were working on those two things, your butt was down. We work a few different ways over the block, but this is the first most important one. And it just acknowledges that if I cannot relax my gluteals, there is no way I'm going to be able to articulate the spine. No way. Few deep inhales. Each exhale like a sigh. Just try to relax over the block a little bit more. The spine articulates. If this is just too intense for you, you can always come out early. This stuff used to be so crazy hard for me. Undoably hard. It was impossible. It's the beautiful thing about impossibility. What is possible and not possible is normally just constrained by our thinking. Last two breaths. Bend the knees. Side the feet flat. I hope you guys can hear all these birds talking. With the feet as wide as the mat, we'll tick-tock the knees left and right. Oh, man. Ooh. Feet flat, knees bent, feet as wide as the mat. Knees tick-tock left and right. How about that? Sensation, sensation is feeling what you have. Sensation, sensation is coming hard and fast. We roll off to one side. Crackle crunch. We roll right back onto the back with nothing under the spine. So nothing under the head, nothing under the spine. If you had anything under the head, get rid of it. Reach behind you, get rid of the block. When we're back on our back, shoulder blades, see if you can scooch them down towards the hips a little bit. We just take a few deep breaths here, marveling at how comfortable the floor is. Double your lung capacity. If you ever have trouble getting comfortable in bed, issues with sleeping, feel like your bed needs to be replaced, upgraded with a bed that's twice as expensive or twice as fancy, try this first. Although good beds are important, I highly recommend them. Before you lie down in bed, lie down on the floor. You're welcome to just do some stuff. any of the yoga poses that you remember or misremember from any class you've ever had, but do it on the floor. You get all the way down on the floor, on your belly, on your back, roll around, do some twists, feel what's there. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, something. And then you get in bed. And your bed will be better. And of course, the real consideration is we spend all this time worrying about the bed we lie on and significantly less time worrying about the body we put on that bed. Slide your feet flat. Feet go as wide as the mat. We slowly tick-tock those knees just like we did over the block. Roll over to one side, thank goodness. Ooh. Use your arms, come up to sitting. Let the blood drain out of that head, tick-tock. Let's get a block. Elevate the tush. Head pushes up, chest arches out. Everybody's breathing. The question in all seated positions is how tall can we be so the top of the head pushes up towards the ceiling? Last breath. Huge inhale, one for the road. Palms face up. You pivot on the elbows, elbows kick forward, shoulder blades pull down. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for supporting small business, for taking care of yourself and investing in your health. Have a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. And I'll see you guys Thursday. We've got 2 level 1 classes on Thursdays that I teach, the 9 a.m. and the 6:15 p.m. Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Bye now. High fives all around. Happy, happy Tuesday. Happy, happy Tuesday. Happy, happy Tuesday.